Hey, Fundwise Partners. It is about 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 1:59 to be exact. We're just on a few seconds early to allow you to log on and to be able to get onto the training on time and not miss anything at all. Welcome, partners. Today we are doing the fix and flip training. We'll talk about it in just a minute. We'll get started. I want to make sure everyone can hear me first. So if you could, as usual, just quickly write a comment in the comment box. If you can hear me, let me know if it's coming in loud and clear. If not, I can speak a little bit louder if it sounds a little bit quiet. We've had a few questions lately about the fix and flip program, how that works, what programs are available, what the terms are, things like that. Welcome, Wes. Thanks for coming. We'll just wait a little bit longer, a few more partners to log on. I saw there were 26 that have RSVP'd to show up for the training. Thanks, Lisa. Glad you're here. Welcome, everyone. Hope the week's going well for you so far. It's been really hot the last couple months, and now the air is starting to cool down. So it looks like the seasons are starting to change. Wes, welcome. Thanks, everyone, for coming. I think it's time to get into it. It's 2:01. So we've had a few questions about the fix and flip training for those that are in real estate. Hey, Wes. So I just want to go over those questions thoroughly, and this training, we'll have it in the training area. We have talked about fix and flip before, but not really a full dedicated training session for those in real estate. And there are quite a few partners that are in real estate related areas that work with a lot of flippers. And so we want to just cover it so it'll answer a lot of your questions that you have. Just curious, for those that are here on the training right now, just type a 1 into the comment box if you are in real estate or if you work with real estate flippers or investors or anything like that. I'm just curious to know how many of you are in the real estate industry. Put a 2 if you're not in anything related to real estate and you're just here to learn about the fix and flip program. That's great too, because you may want to find those groups out there that are in house flipping because they are great clients. Okay, we've got a couple that are in the real estate related industry. Okay, actually everyone so far. If you're not, just let me know. Okay, there's a 2 right there. Couple 2s coming through. Good feedback. Thanks for that. So most that are here on this training are in real estate related areas, but we do also have some that are not, but are here to learn about the real estate house flipping opportunity with funding, and that's great. It's it's a really good area. It's one of our top niches. It's right up there between the top and the second market, and mostly because we have some big partners that are in real estate education, and we work with them and they send in a lot of referrals. So we are knowledgeable and experienced in helping house flippers. I'm not the expert in every single detail in the financing that's available for the house flippers. I know enough. I'm more of the marketing and the partners guy, but my partners do work a lot one-on-one with the house flippers and real estate investors. But I know plenty and all that you need to know. So we will go ahead and get into the training right here. So in this training, we'll talk about the program overview, really what it is and what's available, how it can help, how it works, the credit line details. So the program for getting unsecured lines of credit when it comes to house flipping, and then the private money program that we have that is dedicated just for house flippers, and then marketing the program. So the overview, and this is not the most exciting slide ever, but so this program, why is it so great for house flippers? Why does Fundwise Capital have a great program for house flippers? And one of the things is that hard money can be really expensive, and often unsecured lines of credit can be a great solution for someone who's trying to improve a home or put a down payment onto a property. And this is what the credit line program is. Unsecured credit lines can be just a great tool for those that are flipping homes. But they do have to have a good credit history and a good credit score above 650 or so to get the unsecured credit lines. But we do also have the hard money program. And the two programs that we have, so the unsecured credit lines and the hard money program, they kind of work hand in hand. So for example, someone that has good credit who's wanting to flip a home, they have a property, they can do a down payment with the unsecured credit lines, and then they're able to get the private money because the private money program requires a down payment of 20%. They're able to get that loan, and then there's also a benefit of any improvements. 100% of the improvements on the property is also financed through the private money program. And then there's a couple other things that we'll talk about when we get into those programs. But it's a great product because it's an all-in-one solution, really. So you've got someone who has a property, they found it, they're excited, but they need the money to buy it. They know that they'll be able to flip it and make money on it. So they're highly motivated, which makes them a great client. The other part is that they do need to have a decent credit score and credit history, above 650, no recent late payments, preferably no late payments showing up on their credit in the last 12 months. So there's other things that we look at in there, but we underwrite the credit report. I don't need to go into all the details of underwriting, and it'll just have your head spinning because there's so many different factors. So let us do all that stuff. But if you run into someone, they've got a property, they're excited, they need money for it, then Fundwise can be a good solution. There's no risk to anyone's credit. Like we say, as always, it's a soft pull to see if they can qualify. And also more than that, if their credit doesn't qualify, then we'll still look for alternative options for them to help them with the money. Maybe they do have some money for a down payment, or they've got some good revenue or something like that. So we'll look at all the options for someone who is wanting to flip a home. On the other side, if someone's wanting to buy and hold a property, this is not the best option for them. The unsecured credit lines are 0% interest, but they are revolving credit lines and they're unsecured. So unsecured is always higher risk than secured, of course, because there's no assets, there's no collateral. So holding a property, there's better options. We don't do and we've had this question a few times, we don't do mortgages. We don't do commercial or personal type mortgages. So we just don't really have that program. We've had that question a couple times. But when it comes to flipping a home, then we have the right stuff for that. So the credit lines, this is our core product. This is what we train on often and answer questions about. When someone comes in, they apply through your link, then we get their credit report, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But with the unsecured credit lines, we can get up to $250,000 in unsecured credit lines and term loans. If someone's just looking for the credit lines, then you're looking at more like $100,000 to $150,000 at the top end for just those credit lines. But if you add in term loans with that, then a client can get up to $250,000. So that is enough to buy a property just right there. And the credit lines are 0% for 9 to 15 months. Then on average, and we get this question all the time, what's it going to be after the 0% interest period? It's going to be somewhere around 12 to 19%. But the monthly payments are really low because there's no terms on these. You can calculate a monthly payment by taking 2% of the balance used. So clients only pay for what they actually use. The term loans are 3 to 7 years, starting at 7%. It's based on their credit profile, on what they qualify for. If someone has more iffy credit, and with the term loans, it is a 650 minimum credit score still. But if there are a couple issues on there, then the interest will just go higher. So it really depends on what the client qualifies for. And then another question you may be thinking about, but if not, this will come up. Investors often can't just pay for a property from a credit line, or think of buying a house on a credit card. It's probably not going to happen. So what most real estate house flippers need is a cash out plan available. So there's a way to take the cash off of the credit lines, and we have that plan if needed. So there's a couple cool ways to do that. Also, the unsecured credit lines can be used as a down payment with the private money program, so they can work together. So you've got your unsecured credit lines they can be used for multiple things. They're great for down payments. Even some clients have bought a property from the credit lines and flipped it that way. And if they're in their 0% interest period, then they don't pay any interest, and they've made money using other people's money. So it's a great way to do it. You can flip 2, 3, 4, however quick you are, you can flip that many homes with the 0% interest period. Plus, if you're able to flip a home in 30 days, then you can still, after that 0% interest period, still not have to pay any interest if you use up those credit lines and then sell. That's a pretty quick turnaround period. I don't know how fast you're flipping homes, but if you're super quick, then you can still save a lot of money just using the credit lines. So that is an overview on the credit line program there. It can also be used for improving the home, whatever you need, buying supplies, even if you're doing it full-time, which there's a lot of house flippers out there doing this full-time. You can even live off the credit lines, whatever you need to do to float you by. It can be used for anything that you want. The private money program, so this is 85% LTV, so loan to value. It requires a 20% down payment for the private money program, and the rehab on the property is 100% financed. So any upgrades, anything to improve the property, then you can get all the funding needed for that on the property to fix it up. A 3-month reserve is required. So what we'll find out is how much money would you have in the bank, and they just want to make sure that there's enough money to cover the monthly payments while you were improving the property, upgrading it, and then having enough time to sell it. And so this is where the unsecured credit lines can come into place as well. You can have a reserve there. You can pull cash off the credit lines, put that in the bank account, and have that reserve covered, and as well as the 20% down payment, depending on how much you get in the credit lines. So it's another great place where those two programs can come together. So those are the basics there. Not too much to have to know on that. Just 85% LTV, 20% down payment. There's 100% rehab on the 100% financing on the rehab, and then a 3-month reserve required to cover the monthly payment. So how it works. So you already know how it works, actually, but I just want to clarify with like any niche out there, any market, refer them to your landing page. Let them know they work with Fundwise Capital, works with a lot of house flippers and investors. They'll apply through your link, and that's how we call them. So if you're wanting to just have them talk with somebody, that's also a great way to do it, is just refer them to your link, and we'll have the contact info in our system. We'll call them right away, and we'll talk to them, ask them questions, and we'll find out all their options. If we know, that's one of the first things we ask. Okay, so what do you do with your job? What are you using the money for? And as soon as they say, I'm flipping a home, we know exactly what to say. We know what to ask. And that's at that point, we try to see what we can get them in unsecured financing, as well as look at the option to get them into the private money program. So whatever we can do there to help them, that's our job to find that out and to qualify them, to see what we can get them, see how much money we can get for them. But you can let them know this is what we have available. These are the options. The unsecured credit lines are great, and the private money is great as well. So they'll apply through your link. We call them, qualify them, and then as soon as we underwrite them, the initial person that has contacted them will have set up an appointment with the senior funding advisor, and that is the person that goes over the program with them over the phone and goes over all their options, explains everything, how it works, and then sends them a DocuSign agreement for them to go ahead and sign up for funding and go through the process. The senior funding advisor also schedules them with their own funding manager that will take them step by step through the process. There's not much that the client has to do, but there are questions and some information that we need to collect. And sometimes there's a little bit of follow-up to verify identity, to get approved for multiple credit lines, things like that. So the funding manager walks them through, explains everything from beginning to end, holds their hand, follows up with them. There may be 3, 4, maybe 5 phone calls total that we'll need to contact them and be on with them and explain things. But we do as much of the work as possible to get them the funding on our side, and there's maybe just a few little things that they need to do to follow up. And then we finish the funding process. With the unsecured credit lines, the client pays a performance fee of 9%, or that's capped at $5,000, and that's how you get paid. So we collect that, and it's really never an issue for the client to pay that. They understand the process, what it takes to get them the funding, and then they pay the 9% after the funding, and they can pay the 9% performance fee out of their funding that they get. That's always a question. So you can let them, you don't have to let them know that. Really just urge them to apply, and we explain all of that over the phone. There's no need to get into the details if you're not even sure if they're going to be qualified yet or how much they're going to qualify for. That's what we explain on our end. So no need to worry about any of that. Just urge them to apply. There's no risk to their credit to get a pre-approval. It's a quick, simple process. It depends on, as far as how long it takes for them to get the funding. It really depends on the client situation. It can be, with the credit lines, it can be in as little as 7 days, or it can be a little bit longer if we're getting a term loan, or if we're helping the client to pay down some maxed out credit cards to get their credit score higher so they can get more, or if we're doing a bridge loan to help them pay down maxed out cards and then updating their credit report. There's some things there that can make the process a little bit longer. It can go out to 30, 45 days maybe, just depending on their situation. But some of those programs, with us being able to find unsecured term loans to help a client increase their credit score, or a bridge loan, those are things that a lot of other institutions in our area don't have, and it's just a way for us to be able to get more clients qualified for you. So the marketing part of it, we've gone through what the credit line program is, we've gone through what the private money program is, and we've gone through how it works, like when they apply and everything, and now we can cover marketing. But first, there is a question that I can answer. How quickly can private money funds be made available? Which, thanks for that. I didn't cover that. That can be, as far as I understand, it can be within a couple days. So I have heard that it can be even 48 hours, but those can be quicker than even the credit lines. I need to double check on that though. But it's a quick process. If the property is there, and there's 85% LTV, and a down payment, then funds can be sent over within just a couple days, within a week. So I would, to be conservative, I'd just say in a few days, depending on their situation. That's the best way to answer that. It might be a little bit different depending on the client situation, from client to client, how long it will take. So with marketing, so with real estate, there are a lot of groups out there, and perhaps one of the most lucrative and cost-effective, or time as, how do I say this? So like, one of the biggest impacts you can make in the money that you're making, the commissions, and the number of deals that you are sending through is connecting with a partner that has a network of real estate related clients and individuals. So partners with networks, these are seminar companies that teach people how to invest in real estate. They sell programs, they do one-on-one coaching. There's associations with real estate. There are all sorts of programs. We've talked to individuals who coach people on wholesale real estate, flipping, buy and hold. There's a whole bunch of different programs, and the buy and hold wouldn't be a product for us, except that if a client is buying a property and holding it, then they could still possibly get a down payment with the unsecured credit lines. They could get unsecured credit lines and do a down payment. If it makes the difference of not getting the property and getting the property, then it can be worth that for that person to be able to get funding through us. So partners with networks is a good, quick way to get a consistent amount of deal flow and only having to go through the networking and talking with that individual that first time, introducing them to the Fundwise Partners Program, and we can do a conference call, we can do an email introduction, and we can take it from there, get them signed up, and then you'll get the 10% overrides on all of their deals. That was the case with one of our larger partners, where they made an introduction about 2 years ago, and ever since there's been leads and deals every week. And they've made a great deal of money by just making the introduction one time. There are a couple more questions that we can go through. Nate's asking, do we have set terms for private money? There probably are. I actually don't know. It doesn't say that in our term sheet that we have. That's something that I'll need to find out for you. Richard's asking, I missed the FICO and income requirements for the lines of credit. So FICO requirement for the lines of credit is 650 plus, just like for everything else. That's our core product. So 650 or higher credit score, and there's other factors in there, but let us deal with that. There's a whole bunch of factors when we go into underwriting, but 650 or higher is typically a basic sign that the client has a good chance of getting financing. So that's all you really need to worry about there. They don't have to have a whole lot of income if their credit is good. It's stated income with the credit lines, so they don't have to show any income if their credit's good. If they're needing more money than what they're pre-approved for with just credit lines, then they would have to show taxes or W-2 to show that they make $50,000 or more a year to get a term loan. So that's a requirement with the term loan, 650 plus with income verification. But with just the credit lines, it's a little bit more flexible funding if their credit is good. So hopefully that answers your question there. With social media, you can find all sorts of real estate groups. And I didn't put this on there, but there are a ton of meetup.com groups with real estate. Just about in every city, there's at least one. So you can meet up with real estate investors, talk with them, and figure out what their funding needs are. You'll probably get a deal or two by going to one of those groups. And there's some big ones. we've seen groups that have 600 people or more that meet as real estate investors quite often. A lot of the meetup.com groups, all the various ones are smaller, and maybe they'll set something up for people to meet and a few people will show up. But some of these real estate investor groups, networking is a really important thing for them. It's important for them to find out what's going on in the industry, find out what the tools are, what the market's doing. So there's some really tight-knit groups with house flippers, fix and flip. So you can find a lot of those groups on meetup.com. LinkedIn has some massive groups when it comes to house flipping. We've had partners that have had just all they did was lead generation for finding house flippers that needed financing. So there's a lot. Facebook groups is another place that you can network. Forums, there's all sorts of other groups, associations as well. And with paid advertising, you've got your email, pay-per-click, and direct mail. So whatever experience you have or whatever you're familiar with the marketing, then I would focus on what you already know and master that. Test often, test different ads, different pictures, different ways of saying things. We can give you guidance. If you have a question on an ad that you're about to put out there, just email us at partners@fundwisecapital.com and we can look over that for you, give you any guidance there, make sure everything looks good and that everything in there is what we do, just to make sure expectations are set correctly. But there's quite a market for this area. We had a partner that mentioned that they had worked with direct mail companies, and direct mail still can work very well. There are companies out there that have really nailed it down. There's very targeted lists that direct mail companies are able to provide for you, so they can mail out to your target audience and know if they are, a lot more likely to call the number on that direct mail piece or go to your website. So it's a lot higher tech than it used to be. It's not just with direct mail, just sending out a piece of mail to anyone and everyone, no matter who they are. There's a lot more science behind it now, and it can still be a really good thing. So we would actually like to test it with some different markets, direct mail. We'll get there, but there's still plenty of marketing to do and a lot of things and training that we can do for you as partners. And that's first priority, is to help you as a partner with all these things, knowing how to find these groups of people. Networking is often great. They're big events. If you live in a big city, there's seminars and just big events and conventions that often happen that are business related or even real estate related. One of the places that you can look for the events going on in your city is eventbrite.com. Also, each city will have their own programs and websites of events that are happening in their area at their own convention centers. So you can look for an event and attend an event. You'll learn a ton. I know it seems like taking a few hours away and going to an event will take up a lot of your time, but I think you will be happy that you did something like that. You'll learn a lot by talking to other individuals. You'll probably meet some potential partners, and I think it'll get you excited and motivated. When we go to an event, it often piques it just reignites that desire to grow as a business and offer funding and to find more people who are needing funding to help them grow their business. Because we hear a lot of great stories at these kinds of events. We meet a lot of people that just have great ideas and great tools and programs and things that they're trying to do. So it's a lot of fun to network and meet other people. You'll learn a ton, and it's just something that will get you very excited about marketing and funding and Fundwise. So hopefully that's helpful for you, and that explained the fix and flip program a little bit better. I'm fumbling over my words today. Sorry about that. But marketing ideas right there. Do what's comfortable to you and get laser targeted and do what works and do that over and over again. So thanks everyone for coming to the Fix and Flip session. Now we have an official training on Fix and Flip and what the programs are. So thanks everyone for coming. We had some good attendance. Thanks for your questions. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll be talking to you soon.